Uh, what do you think about junk food and how is it harmful for teenagers?
Okay. In our discussion together, you just defined junk food for me as food that is high in calorie and fat.
Yeah.
And I presume you also mean food that people are find very tasty.
Yeah.
That teenagers find very tasty. Okay. What do I think of it? Any food that isolates one particular type of food group, such as carbohydrates and fats, is not good because you're cutting out the minerals and vitamins and proteins, okay, which is the rest of what your balanced diet needs. Now, any ordinary diet is high in carbohydrate anyway and has a moderate amount of fat because that's the general food groups that are used in most meals. So over and beyond this, if additional high carbohydrate food is eaten, it means that a person is getting a very large amount of carbohydrate. Now, the usual consumption of junk food is during free time and between meals. So there's several problems here. One is the isolation or the overuse of particular food groups, and secondly, the eating between meals. Now, there's nothing wrong with carbohydrate and fat per se, as long as it's in the right proportion to the person's needs. Eating between meals, particularly high carbohydrate and high fat, means that a person is not giving the stomach sufficient emptying time before a meal, which is presumably, when I say a meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, is presumably a nutritious selection of food as opposed to between meal snacking, which is unlikely to be a nutritious selection of food. So then when the between meal snack is high carbohydrate and high fat and satisfies the hunger, it means that there won't be sufficient hunger to get a good selection of the other things that are missing from the diet, the vitamins, minerals, and proteins. So that's a major problem because promptly the diet becomes skewed and the person's nutritional intake becomes skewed. Secondly, filling up one's free time with high carbohydrate and high fat is, it's often the case, not always, but often the case, that this amount of carbohydrate and fat is not sufficiently utilized by the body and therefore is stored. So the person then becomes high in these two particular groups which are stored in the body. There's weight gain, there's poor musculature because the protein content is lost, there's poor recovery of skin, hair, and there's a lot of, the whole nutritional balance is skewed. So then a person becomes, there's a huge opening for early onset of particular diseases, which is called the metabolic syndrome, metabolic groups of diseases. In this are heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood sugars, high blood pressures. These are all often dietary related things. The other two which come under the metabolic syndrome is hypothyroidism and high uric acid, which is early onset gout. Now this group of things are being seen more and more at younger age groups, which is most likely a dietary problem. So putting oneself at risk for these things is completely as a result of high intake of what you're terming junk food, which is high carbohydrate, high fat. Now, meals can be skewed in the nutritional content if one attacks these particular groups. So it's important to make sure that a meal in general, breakfast, lunch, dinner, have sufficient carbohydrate. I'm not saying cut out carbohydrate. There must be sufficient carbohydrate, the basis of the meal. There must be sufficient minerals and vitamins. There must be sufficient protein. There must be sufficient fat as well in every meal. It's when some are excluded and some are overdone that these metabolic problems start. Apart from all this, I can't emphasize the need for exercise, which then ties in everything together, makes sure the body utilizes what's being taken in, and makes sure that the heart, the blood vessels, the brain, everything is well supplied and well oxygenated, and there's no chance of these kind of metabolic problems. Okay, what have I missed? Eating between meals. Okay, the other problem of eating between meals is that often it's, apart from killing the nutritional intake, there are dental problems, because you're technically what a dentist would advise you is 4-hour gaps between anything that you put in your mouth, so that the saliva has a chance to attack the bacteria that sit in the mouth with any food in the mouth. The saliva has natural antibacterial properties which can work best if there's a 4-hour gap between any food intake. Now, if you're going to negate this by eating between meals in a gap shorter than 4 hours, the saliva is going to lose that beneficial effect on your teeth and gums. Okay, there's probably a lot more, but at this, off the top of my head, this is basically what I can tell you right now.
What do you think about junk food, and what do you do to the food to make it healthy in the cafeteria?
I think junk food is good as long as it is done, eaten in limits, and as long as the salads are eaten along with whatever is being served. And larger the portion of salad, the better it is. Okay. That is good. But junk food has been abolished. To make the food healthier, which is a funny term in itself, is that we give a selection of fruit, which gives you fiber, which you need, a lot of fiber. We give you a lot of protein, both animal-based and vegetable-based protein, as well as milk-based proteins. We give you carbohydrate, which you need for energy. So it's all there, and I cannot control who eats what and how much. So if a person wants to eat 6 eggs for breakfast, I cannot control that. Remembering the fact that protein is always, extra protein in the body is always thrown out. It's not absorbed, unlike carbohydrate. So it is a balanced diet out there, and I would encourage students to eat wisely.
What do you think about junk food, and what do you think we should eat? What do you suggest us to eat to stay healthy?
Interesting question, Mithun. I don't feel that any food is junk food. Okay? Your taste buds always tell you what you should like and what you dislike. Every human being is made differently. Every human being has different tastes. So whatever appeals to your taste, you must eat. But what I would suggest to live a healthy life is, you must also add exercise to your diet. Okay? Whatever diet you have, remember, you must include exercise to it. Drink a lot of water, or any other fluids, and exercise for at least an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, and you will be healthy. Health is not necessarily what you eat, it's what you like, and whether or not you add exercise to your diet.
So what do you think about junk food?
I think junk food is unhealthy, but everyone likes it. It should not be taken like every day.
So what do you think about junk food?
I think that junk food is very bad for your health and it usually leads to obesity, and you should not have it like every day. You should have it in moderation, maybe once or twice a week or in 2 weeks.